Hello, everyone, from the Purr Play Sip Podcast. My name is Chuck Patton, proprietor of the Purrfect Day Cat Cafe. This is Patty. And this is Boo. And then we just lost Kitty underneath the couch. And even more importantly, this is Robert.
Cat Cafe Robert.
Cat Cafe Robert. We're going to go over that a little bit. So one of the things that I thought would be really fun, and we have a series here. We've already talked to Rosemary. Rosemary is one of our top, there she is right down there. Always trying to take the camera. So talk a little bit about what it is like to work at a cat cafe. So this, of course, is Robert. Robert is also one of our other top cats. He helps lead both our location here in Louisville, Kentucky, as well as the location in Covington. And so really what I'm trying to do is kind of give an insight into what it's like to work at a cafe, a cat cafe. The good, bad.
I can tell you about both.
Yeah, sure. The good, the bad, and the ugly a little bit on there. So, but anyway, I thought, we just wanted to kind of pull back the covers and let everybody see a little bit about what it is that we do and have all this fun kind of stuff and insight into what it's like to work at a cat cafe. So as I go into that, ask you the first question, Robert. I always like looking back on time. What was it like when you very first heard about the cat cafe, and tell us why you applied?
Okay, so that was in March of 2018. So I had actually just had my position eliminated at my previous job. So I was unemployed for the first time in my entire adult life. So I had no idea what I wanted to do or what I was going to do. It was actually really odd because I worked at Barnes & Noble like my entire adult life. So the idea of doing anything else was just crazy and kind of scary. But my wife told me to go find something that I really wanted to do. So when I saw this in the newspaper, I was like, oh, well, that just sounds perfect. So Chuck will tell you too, I applied.
Sorry.
And I emailed him incessantly until he interviewed me.
Which was fantastic too, because it shows you his perseverance. You just kept coming. You had a strong back, and of course that's exactly what we need here at the Cat Cafe. We need people who aren't going to shy away when all of a sudden things get a little tough, right? All right. So Robert, you started here then from the very beginning, and since then 7,100 adoptions now, right, and counting. And now, of course, we're coming eerily close on about 1,800 adoptions in Covington. So what do you think the secret is? Because that's one of the more common questions, right? Like, how are you guys doing this many adoptions?
I think it's a couple things. So the biggest thing I think is we allow children. So a lot of cat cafes, you have to be a certain age to visit. We started that way, but that lasted, like a month, if that. And we decided it'd be better if we just supervise children better, because picking out a new pet is a family affair, so you want everyone involved. So if you exclude half the family, and frankly, normally it's the kids that want it more than the adults. I think that's part of the reason we're so successful. Having alcohol certainly doesn't hurt. But I mostly think it's the team. Like you said, it's a lot of people who are very dedicated to the mission. Rosemary and myself have been here since the beginning, through COVID, through inflation, through the plastic shortage of 2021. Just adapt and overcome. That's what Rosemary always says. And I remember telling Chuck when COVID happened, I said, if you need me to work open and close Monday through Friday and not pay me, that's fine. We're not closing.
Which is a wonderful gesture. I should have taken you up. But no, we did. We were able to stay open and thanks for a couple of people who did decide that they were going to stay on in a minimal capacity. But we did more adoptions in COVID than any other year. So to close, you agree? It just seems like not an option.
Right. One, it would be devastating to the homeless animal population if we had closed.
Yeah, and the shelters that serve that animal population. Okay. So Robert does, as you heard, a lot of Barnes & Noble, and he does a lot of work for us behind the bar and all of our procurement and some of that other stuff. But I understand you have some nicknames.
Mm-hmm. We'll start with the key ones first. Okay.
Okay.
So I've been working here about a year, and I also foster with the Kentucky Humane Society, so I'm over there on their campus a lot. And I was picking up or dropping off fosters one day, and this lady walked up to me, and she said, "Are you Cat Cafe Robert?" And I was like, well, no one had ever said that to me before. I'm like, well, yes, I guess I am. So that turned into this whole thing. My parents made me a shirt that says, "Yes, I'm Robert from Purrfect Day Cafe." Now when I introduce the videos, I say this is Cat Cafe Robert, so it's just kind of spiraled into this whole thing now. And now some of the other staff, when they get recognized, they're like, "Oh yes, I'm Cat Cafe Lori," or "Yes, I'm Cat Cafe Lee." So I might have to get shirts made for everybody. My other nickname is Bourbon Bobby. I'm sure you all can imagine why I might be called that. I really enjoy bourbon, and when I drink some of it, I get really even louder than I normally am, and very. I'll say fun. I don't know if anybody else thinks it's fun,
is,
but I think it's fun.
You're a fun drunk.
I am.
Well, and if you know anything about some of you watching this podcast may not know, but we're here in Louisville, Kentucky, so
Bourbon's a big thing.
Bourbon is a thing. Bourbon is definitely a thing. So anyway, tell me then, Robert, I mean, it's great. I mean, you've built this identity, and it's because, again, the community knows this. The community comes here all the time. What do you think has been the most rewarding part of the job?
So even after 7,100 adoptions, every time somebody comes out of that room and they say, "I want to adopt," it's still like the first time. I mean, I literally go over the contract in like 10 seconds because I've done it so many times. It's not, it's like second nature, but I still get excited every time another cat goes home. Obviously, the big number is a big success. One of the, or big, what did you say? Accomplishment. But the biggest thing I think is we work with how many different counties now?
It is 52 that are here and about another 15 estimated in Covington.
So over 60 counties where those cats probably would have been euthanized before and now they're not. That's the biggest.
Yeah, euthanized or released
ignored.
back out or ignored, and that's not a good life.
Yeah. So.
Yeah.
And several of the shelters that we work with used to have to euthanize due to overcrowding, and now they don't have to.
Yeah. Well, that's great. Yeah, that is good. And doing that many adoptions, again, what we call that a good exhausted. So you're leaving home, you're like, man, I worked hard today, but you feel really good about that, which I think we have the privilege doing what we do to actually have a business with a purpose. It's not just purpose. That's right. All right. So, of course, with the good comes the bad. What do you think the most difficult part about working?
So we talk a lot about Purrfect Day is obviously a very nice, clean, welcoming environment, but at the end of the day, it is technically still a shelter. So sometimes you still have to deal with things that happen in shelters. So that's, illness. So whenever, I answer the social media for Purrfect Day, and if a cat has passed, normally I'm the first one that hears about it. And I want to say it gets easier, but it really doesn't. Even if the cat had been adopted like 2 or 3 years ago and they let us know that it passed, it still hurts. Yeah, I joke all the time, there's many jobs that I do here that I didn't think about when I applied. Like I have to be a grief counselor, and I have to be a photographer, and I have to be an interior designer. You'd think the grief counselor part would have occurred to me, since obviously a lot of people adopt after they've lost a pet. But you really aren't prepared for the number of people you talk to that have lost them. You have to be sympathetic. I mean, you don't have to be sympathetic. It's easy for me to be sympathetic because I've done it. And it's the hardest thing I've ever done. So that's the hardest part, is when you hear about people losing their pets.
Yeah. And I think we had said it before as well, too. We do our best in here, but the reality is we're saving a ton of cats coming from a ton of different counties off the street. And in any scenario like that, Mother Nature is involved one way or the other. And, there's just no way to kind of, conquer Mother Nature, if you will. So you just got to make sure we're doing the best thing that we possibly can. So, all right. So gosh, Robert, 7,100 adoptions, 4.5 years now. Even when we're looking at our bookings on a weekend now, they're almost completely booked up for the weekend. What is it? Where do you see cat cafes in the future? Like, where do you see the future of Purrfect Day Cafe as well in that? So,
well, if you'd asked me this before we opened the second location, I would say we'd have like 10 locations. But now that I know the struggle of handling two, I'm not going to say that. I think Cat Cafes will as a pie will continue to grow. Purrfect Day will obviously be part of that. I don't know if we'll have more locations. Like you said, it's a lot of involvement, and you really have to have really strong. You have to have community buy-in to the idea. So if your community's not involved, it doesn't matter how nice of an environment you have. You build it, they will come. But if they're not interested, they won't come. But I told Chuck when he asked me to take my operations. Oh, that's another nickname I have. Operations director job. He asked me what I thought Purrfect Day would do, and I said I want Purrfect Day to outlive us. I want it to still be a thing even when we're not working here.
Yeah. So that's neat. So you're basically saying this isn't a niche.
Right.
This is a business vertical that's going to continue.
Mm-hmm.
It's a disruption.
Yeah.
This will be the way that animals will adopt. I didn't forewarn you on this one, but when do you see a day? Oh, sorry. Do you see a day where something like this is done with dogs? Do you see some sort of
here? No. Well, more in Kentucky. No. I feel like if you were going to do it with dogs, it would have to be a mostly outdoor environment, and obviously the weather in Kentucky doesn't really permit that. I think you could do something like that maybe in Southern California or a place where it's spring, summer, 90% of the year. But dogs need a lot more space. They're a lot messier. Well, not to mention you have to worry about if a cat bites you, you'll bleed a little. But if a dog bites you, it can be pretty serious. So there's that to consider too,
and a major liability.
Yeah,
on that one too. So
I love the idea, but in practice, it's one of the most common questions we get is, why don't you do this for dogs? And I always say, okay, think that through a little. I mean, I know dogs from cats is a natural jump, but when you think a little further past that, you're like, yeah, that's not so simple.
Yeah. So overall, you're giving it a thumbs up. Working at a cat cafe, you'd recommend for people that are out there to do that, right?
Oh yeah, best job I've ever had. And one of the best things about working here too is it's very rare for you to have a bad day. So a lot of people go to work, they have a bad day, or they have an upset customer, this or that. Almost 99% of the people that come in this building are ridiculously happy, and how could you not want to work in that environment? Yeah.
Well, fantastic. Well, we appreciate everything you're doing, Robert, keeping the mission going. And again, as an extension of that, here we are at Purrfect Day Cafe. If you want to help us out, if you want to continue our mission and what it is that we're trying to accomplish and being able to support that, then do like and follow us and share a little bit about us. This is how you continue to keep us going and to keep us motivated.
I wish y'all could see this cat in his lap.
I know. I'm trying to look at a way to turn it around, but there it is. So anyway, thanks again, Robert. All the great details and pulling back the curtains of what it's like to work at a cat cafe. Bye-bye.